Listen, this is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. About This Life is a podcast where we take a look at some of the challenges and struggles we have in life. And don't we all have struggles? I mean, let's be real. And if you don't have struggles, just wait, it's coming. But the thing about life is you have to find a way to get past it, get through it. And what rather than the woe be me perspective, we find ways to make our lives joyous. We find ways to make our lives thrive. And so that's the whole focus of the podcast in a nutshell. We're changing our lives. I am so excited to have this guest on today. Her name is Cheri Carandanis. Hi, Cheri. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Anne Marie. I'm very excited to be here today.
I am so glad to have you. Cherie, what I know about you is that you are a registered nurse. I know that you have your master's in nursing. And a quick story about that is my mama, my mommy, who's no longer with us. She is a registered nurse
Oh,
and quite an inspiration for all of her children. There are five of us because when she came to the States and she has her RN, mommy went back to school for her master's, at a
wow.
mature age, I should say. So she was inspirational for all of us, but you're not a nurse anymore. You are a visual artist. So before we talk about how you made that switch, how you made that transformation, talk to it. What's the best thing about being a nurse?
Oh,
What was the best?
I think the best thing about being a nurse is our jobs give us permission to be in really sacred spaces.
Mm.
And I loved being in those sacred spaces. And usually it was difficult. People are sick, or I was an ICU nurse for many years. And then I became a hospice nurse.
Oh,
So both of those spaces are just so precious and so sacred that I always felt honored to be in those spaces and to be able to contribute anything. So I think that was my favorite part is nursing is I am not a fan of small talk. I just don't
hmm
like it. And so
hmm
being a nurse kind of gives you a pass to just get right to it. Like
Yes,
skip the small talk. Let's get right to the heart issues. Let's
to
get
be
to it.
direct. And for those of us who don't know what hospice is, of course,
Mhm.
hospice is fill in the
Caring for
blank.
the dying and for their
Yes.
family. Yeah.
For and the family.
Hmm.
And I want to say a difficult position it is to be in to do that, but you called it sacred.
Ugh.
Why do you define it as sacred?
Because I feel like the Western culture kind of makes dying taboo. Um,
Mm,
I mean, if you even look at our cemeteries, they're beautified. Everything's beautiful about dying, but when you're dying, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of
hmm
um, sadness and regrets, and there can be beautiful deaths. I witnessed so many beautiful deaths, but
Yes.
dying is so sad. And I the only way I can ever explain is like Velcro. You're just tearing Velcro because you're leaving one life and headed into
Yes.
whatever's next, right? And so there's this transition. And so I thought it was sacred because if you have the opportunity to be on hospice and receive that care and your family hasn't, there's just such a precious time of closure, of being able
hmm
to say all the things that were never said or that need to be said, saying goodbye, forgiveness. There's just so many beautiful things that can happen in that time of transition. And just like we're never born alone into the world. We should
Right.
never die alone in the world. We should have a send off.
As a send off, as a nurse, there are different locations you can work. Of course, there is traditional in terms of the hospital setting, the
Mhm.
clinical setting.
Mhm.
But in terms of hospice, end of life, did you find yourself in people's homes? Um,
Mostly, mostly. We were rarely in hospitals. We were in either their homes or in like adult foster homes, which are like care homes.
Hmm.
Um, and that intimacy, having their things around them, their comfortable bed, their sheets, their blankets,
Yes.
just brings such a level of comfort that, I mean, hospitals are necessary sometimes at the end of
Hmm.
life, but dying at home was especially precious to have them in their own environment.
Cheri, you mentioned a term. I'm here writing it down in case anybody's wondering why why I'm looking at the side, pen in hand. Oops, pen just dropped. And that is, you mentioned adult foster homes. I
Mhm.
haven't heard of that term before. What's an
Um,
adult foster
I
home?
don't think they're across the nation yet, but here in Oregon, they're very popular. And it's actually a home and it can care for up to 5 individuals. And so it's a home that has caregivers, a cook, people that take care of the facility. And so it's
Mm.
kind of a home environment. So it's not so um, clinical as like a nursing home. So the model is trying to get away from the nursing home feeling and more of a home feeling, but where you still need a level of care where your family might not be able to care for them in their own home.
And are these privately funded or
Um,
somebody's personal home and they're running a business, or is
yes,
it state funded? Is it?
I think they do get help from the state for sure.
Mhm.
But yes, these are people's homes that they've converted into foster
Wow.
homes so that they can safely take care of up to 5 people, which is nice that it caps out at 5 because
Hmm.
it just feels like a family. You become family there.
That just resonates with me because I think about, our population as we're
Mhm.
growing older, and there are some people, they might be far away from their
Mhm.
kids
Mhm.
and or from relatives and from
Yeah.
family. This, you just provided a solution to someone because there's so many people who think, don't put me in a nursing home, don't
Right.
put me in a nursing home.
Right.
By the way, there are moments and times when it's required for a nursing
Sure.
home in
Sure.
terms of the level of skilled care. But I like that for us as a society, that we have adult foster homes. And
Yeah.
I just think that's cool, pretty cool. So that's a home. So I'm thinking to myself, because as I notice, I always have noticings and wanderings.
Mm.
I am looking at the beautiful artwork behind
Mm.
you, that stands behind you. It piques my curiosity in terms of the images. And like, there's one over your left shoulder that
Mhm.
has what, from this point of view, like a ladder, but that ladder is not going straight. And there are some entire questions that are running through my mind, and I see like a cap and what I think is smoke. And I'm
Mm.
trying to come up with an interpretation of this art,
Mm.
which is also accompanied by candles and plants.
Mm.
So help me with this interpretation of art behind you.
So I'm an abstract artist, and
Yes.
a lot of my art, almost all of my art, is full of symbols and words, um, asemic writing, where it's like I'm journaling onto the canvas or prayers that I'm just scratching into the
Mm,
canvas, but it's unreadable. Sometimes I can remember what I wrote, but many times I can't, but I can feel the energy of
hmm.
what was happening. And so you're right, the ladder, it's not straight. And it's
Yes.
really, you're wondering,
Intentional.
it is because my life has not gone in a straight line at all. And so my artwork has a lot of chaos in the
Hmm.
underlayers. There's just this
Hmm.
tension of this chaos. But then often at the end, there will be just this quieting. But if you walk up to it, you can see all the chaos, you can see all the layers, because the art that I do probably has between 5 and 15 layers that
Yes.
have been worked in, and so you see the history. of that piece. And I approached the canvas with no idea of how it's going to look. I have no idea what the outcome will be.
So it's just your energy coming out.
It's just intuitive.
Oh my goodness. Because what I love is the composition of it.
Mm,
I love your color scheme because over your left shoulder it appears black and white and
mhm.
shades of gray, but your right shoulder you have a splash of pop of color. And I'm pointing all these things out for our listeners because I want everybody to understand, like from a visual artist, the meaning and the messages that you can come from it. And I think about life.
Mm,
Nobody's life goes like this or goes
no.
straight. It's just like one of
Mhm.
those things we used to believe. We used to believe you do the one thing
Yep.
and you increase, you improve, and you move
Yeah.
forward. It's a straight line. And I'm looking at this ladder and I'm saying, that's the story of my life right
Yeah.
now.
Amen.
And then I'm looking, you mentioned the word chaos.
Yeah.
Because we so often in our lives experience chaos.
Oh,
But here's the thing, there's clarity in the chaos. And some people might say, well, isn't that opposites? But therein is that tension that
yes.
your internal energy is trying to convey.
That's
So,
right.
what are some of the beauty that you have found in the chaos? What chaotic event happened in your life?
In 2019, I suffered two separate brain injuries. And
Mm,
so I thought I would be fine. I would rehab and be fine. And I soon learned that I would not be not who I was, but be able to do the things that I used to do. And that's why in 2020, I had to retire my nursing license because cognitively, I just
mm.
wasn't coming back to where I felt safe to provide safe care to my patients. And so that was chaos, not just in my identity of not being a nurse anymore, because that's what I'd been my
Right.
whole life, but also in brain injury. That's a level of chaos I knew nothing about. Even being a healthcare provider, I thought, oh, I kind of understand brain injury. I had no idea. I had no idea.
Until you go through it, but break it down, unpack it a little bit for us, because when I think about not being able to help someone, it's a little bit more intense than, oh, where did I put my glasses? Where did I
Mm,
put my keys? I can't find it. Oh, my cell phone has to be
right,
someplace around here.
right.
What are some of the things that your body let you know
Mhm.
that you had to pivot?
I think on the physical level, my brain was not talking to my feet. That was
Mm,
a huge thing. So I wasn't able to safely walk around, negotiate my environment. What happened in my specific type of brain injury, my eyes became unteamed. So usually our eyes follow each other and you see the world very smoothly,
right.
but mine became unteamed. So it's just chaotic vision. But
Chaotic vision. I
cognitively,
like that. We will make that the show title.
yep. But cognitively, I just couldn't, it's like I couldn't click. It was
Hmm.
always foggy. It was
Hmm.
always unable to make decisions. I couldn't make when we'd go out to eat, my husband had to
Yes.
choose my food for me. In the
Hmm.
early days of brain injury, he had to choose my clothes for me because he was noticing I was wearing the same thing every day. And he's like, honey, why aren't you changing your clothes? And I was like, I don't know what to pick. So decision making, um, even reading people's emotions on their faces,
Yeah.
that changes. I wasn't as sharp as I used to be with that. Um, I couldn't read very well
Hmm.
because of my eyes, and then cognitively, you don't remember what you read, so you have to read it
Hmm.
over and over and over again.
Hmm.
Um, and following directions was tough. It was really
It
tough
was
to just
tough.
a series of tasks I had to in brain rehab. They would put um, virtual reality glasses on me. And one of the things I really struggled with was the grocery store, because we don't realize how busy our brains are just grocery shopping. Because not only are you there for a task, you have your list, you got to get this, this, and this. You're also negotiating an environment that is chaos. It's
Yes.
pure chaos. And so I would
And an
train
example of
virtually.
that, Cherie, an example of that, go down the cereal aisle.
Yeah.
So, like, is there a reason why we
Why are
have
there
more than
4,000
25
cereals?
choices of cereal?
It's so true.
I'll
It's
just go
so
down the
true.
cereal aisle and ketchup is trying to catch up. I'm like, ketchup is ketchup. Why do we need all these variants? But I'm sorry, I
Exactly.
interrupted you. I just had to
No,
get that
but
in
that
there.
is exactly the point, is that you're just are, and this is healthy brains, we get overwhelmed, with a healthy brain. But when you have a brain that's been hurt, that processing goes away. And so everything takes so much longer. And our brains do heal. There is neuroplasticity
Mhm.
where we heal, but it takes a long time.
How
It's
did
not,
your brain get hurt?
I'm sorry.
How did your brain get hurt?
The first time was I was on vacation in Arizona, and we had gone and played a round of golf, and it was a beautiful day. And we went out to
Mhm.
dinner that night, and for some reason, I feel like it. I mean, I felt like I hydrated well, but it's Arizona, so that's just
Right.
desert. I must have been dehydrated because it just felt like everyone was underwater when they were talking. Like I couldn't hear, and so I thought, this is really strange. I just need to go to the bathroom and splash some water on my face. I'll be fine.
Hmm.
But when I stood up from the table, I blacked out and I fell and hit
Wow.
my head. So that was the first one. And then 6 months later, as my father was driving me to eye vision therapy for the concussion injury, we were in a car accident. And so
Mm.
that was the second brain injury. And that's the one that just undid me. It just,
That's
my
it.
speech was off, my walking, I couldn't walk straight. But I was really blessed, and I found some incredible physicians
Hmm.
that helped me. And over about 4 years of intense rehab, I'm back.
Yes. Well, we are very grateful for your life and for your being here and being able to share your story. One of the things that impact you as well is your dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
So
dad.
my dad, he was my cheerleader in life. He and
Mhm.
I, we were very close. And in 2023, he and my mom, they live here in the neighborhood, you know, and
Okay.
they went on RV trips. They loved to go on RV trips, and he loved fishing. And so, they left on an RV trip, and he was out on the jetty up in Washington, on the coast, and a sneaker wave came and took him off
Wow.
the jetty, and he was missing for hours. They didn't know. My mom had no idea what happened. She was at the RV when that happened. Anyways, long story short, they searched for him all
Hmm.
day. They couldn't find him and just said he was lost at sea.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was on my way to be with my mom, and she said she was sitting in the parking lot with the police chaplain. He was waiting for me to arrive so that she wouldn't be alone. And
Yes.
when as I was trying to get there to her, she said she just felt in her heart that dad was calling to her, like, I'm
Hmm.
coming to you, I'm coming to you. And she just didn't know what that meant, but she just got up and ran to the ocean. And my mom doesn't swim, and it was
Right.
rough that day. And so the police officer pulled her out of the ocean and said, no, you can't. And she goes, he's there swimming to us. And so he went into the water and pulled my dad out of the water. But
Mm.
my mom thought he was swimming, but what
Right.
she saw was two sea lions. One had him by each arm, and they swam him back to the ocean, to the beach.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And pushed his body
Oh,
straight into the surf, right to my mom. And we were so grateful because
yes.
I bargained with God on the way, like, you know,
Please.
please let me say goodbye at least. You know, if he has to, if his time on earth is over, I can eventually accept that eventually,
Hmm.
but not being
Hmm.
able to just hold his hand one more, like that just,
Yeah.
it's just something I couldn't let go of. And so to be able to see him again and to say goodbye and to kiss him and hold his hand again was such
Yeah.
a gift. It was such a gift.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So in the chaos comes order,
Always, always.
always.
Yes.
And in order, I often think it's the body, mind, and spirit is a blessed working mechanism
Yes.
that works together to bring about healing.
Yes.
Because you're talking about your loss, not just loss of a loved one, but loss of your ability, loss of your identity,
Yes.
as you described it earlier. And now, what do you do? And the body, the mind, and the spirit, it's almost like it surrounds that pain, surrounds that grief, and it becomes something beautiful. So
Yes.
that's why when I look at that painting, I don't know if you made it or not, but when I look at that painting, I could see this beauty that comes out of the chaos.
Yes.
So is that how you got became a visual artist? And
Yeah.
visual artist in what sense? What type of art do you create?
I do abstract paintings on large canvases, mostly large
Mm,
canvases. And there's a reason that that is so miraculous. Like you said, our bodies, minds, and our souls, they are in sync with each other. And if we
yes.
take time to listen and ask, what is it that you need? That our souls tell us, like intuition. I always thought I had pretty good intuition,
Mhm.
but intuition to me now is the knowing of yourself and trusting of that voice that's inside of you. But that takes intention to develop a relationship with your intuition. Because how can you trust anyone you don't know? And so
Right.
brain injury brought me to my knees. It took away everything that I was um, very confident in
Hmm.
doing, my
Hmm.
ability. And so when I honestly, I went through a couple years where I wasn't seeing the hope. I wasn't
Right.
seeing the beauty in the chaos.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
angry. I was bitter. I was scared.
Hmm.
And after that, I feel like we all are given a choice.
Hmm.
What next? What do you do next? And for me, my faith is huge in my life. And I knew that the God I serve couldn't be a God that was like, well, that sucks. That happened. You know, he always is, there's a reason for everything, and that there is beauty in everything, even in the
Hmm.
pain. And so I learned through, when we're ready to learn something, teachers just appear.
Yes.
And books,
Yes.
podcasts, preachers, sermons,
Yes.
they just start appearing in your life. And I
Hmm.
started learning how to meditate to just calm down my thinking. Because I just kept thinking after the car accident, after my dad, a series of miscarriages before that. I was like, oh, what if? That's all I was doing is what ifing my life. And
Hmm.
after I learned, okay, stop with the what ifs and what is.
Yes.
And I looked around and I saw that, yes, I did lose my career. I lost a lot of my ability that my brain had.
Hmm.
But what do I have? And I had so much. I had a husband that would stop at nothing to see me get well.
Hmm.
I had children that were amazing. I had family and friends and a community. And so I just started there and just was like, okay, what do I do? And so one of my doctors said, Cheri, the left side of your brain's damaged. You need to wake up the right side. And I didn't know what that meant. And so he
Hmm.
said, let's try with some creativity, some presence, some mindfulness, intuition. And I thought, As a nurse, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Because you're science-based.
Yes, I never did anything crafty or artsy or drew anything. And so he said, why don't you get a coloring book, like an adult coloring book, and just start there. And I did, and I hated it. I just said, this isn't for me. I don't like it.
Hmm.
But then I was watching YouTube one day and I saw a woman painting on big canvases. And so that looked fun to me. And she was painting abstract, and it made a lot of sense to me that she was doing that because I could just see that she was painting her feelings. She was just
Yeah.
painting her feelings. And that made so much sense to me. And I thought, I have some feelings. I need to
Hmm.
get out somewhere.
Hmm.
So I went and got a big piece of cardboard and my kids' tempera paints from school. And I just painted. And it was awful. And like I look at it now, I'm like, that is so funny that that came out. But it felt good. My body liked it. My
Hmm.
mind liked it because for those moments that I painted, I forgot I had a brain injury because it
Hmm.
didn't take any of the skills that you need to be perfectly cognitively functioning. And so I just kept doing it because I liked it. And what inevitably happened was the doctors months and months later said, Tree, what have you been doing? And I said, I've just been painting on big canvases. He's like, that's interesting. Why did you pick big canvas? I said, I don't know. I just like it. I don't like little. I just, there's something about it that my body doesn't like. So big canvases, big brushes,
Hmm.
lots of paint, big messes. And he said, well, you doing that motion has healed your brain because it's physical. The physicality of painting on a big canvas has rehabbed you in many ways. And so, I mean, I couldn't have just said, it wasn't me picking a big canvas. It was my body picking the big canvas.
Your
It
body
healed
and your
me.
spirit. It's
Yeah.
like all three working in
Yes.
unison.
Yes.
And which brings us back to that red splash in the
Mm-hmm.
vat, because sometimes I think a red, I guess I'm it either, it can represent anger
Yes.
in terms of intensity
Yes.
and frustration.
Yes.
Red, as everyone knows, is the color for love.
Mm-hmm.
But whether it is positive or negative energy, it is really an intense emotional feeling
It
and
is.
a response to something, you know.
The red here. So this painting
Yes.
came after my trip I took a recent trip to Brooklyn and
Hmm.
I loved it. Brooklyn, New York, the graffiti.
That's where I grew up. Yes.
Girl, oh, that is such an amazing part of New York
Yes.
City. I mean, I loved it. And what painting and the canvas has also taught me was that I was silenced for most of my life from who I
Mm,
truly am. I was
mm,
who everyone told me I should be. And painting brought out who Cheri really is. And she is loud and she is bright and she is big with her feelings.
hmm.
And that was always like, nope, quiet. And I think that happens to most, especially women. We're
I
too
was
much.
gonna say, unpack that for us because I'm working on some projects and
Mm.
I have a co-author book that's coming out,
Oh, wow.
and we talk about your voice at some
Mhm.
point in your life between childhood and adulthood. When we reach adulthood, because we have to wear masks, we can't be emotional, or so we tell ourselves when we walk into the workplace.
Right.
And there's a certain amount of constraint that goes into adulting.
Yes.
But then there's this conscious or unconscious level where we lose our voice. So
Yes.
unpack that in terms of you being silent and now you are who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah. I think it did start for me in early childhood. I'm grew up biracial. My mother's Korean. My dad is from Eugene, Oregon, country boy.
Hmm.
And I was never white enough to be white and never Korean
Ah,
enough to be Korean. And in the
yes.
Korean community, I was always too big, like my stature, because I'm taller than most Korean women, and
Mm-hmm.
my bones are bigger. I'm just a bigger person. And so I think from a young age, I just wanted to be smaller, to be
Shrink.
yes, to fit in. And it wasn't, appreciated to be loud and, off
Mm.
the rails and wild.
Girls don't speak that way.
Right,
Yes.
right. Be polite and be quiet. And, so I was raised that way, as many of us, most of us were. And then I joined the military. And so that's another
Mm.
place where they told me how to be and how I should show up in the world. And then as a nurse, I felt like there was a box I needed to fit in, and then as a mother, that was another box that I needed to
Mm.
fit in. And a Christian, well, what does that look like? All these boxes just kept suffocating me. And
Restrictions.
then, yes, yes. And
Restrictions.
I think I've always felt some tension inside of me, like, no, this is not who I am. Like, I'm louder than this. I'm crazier than this. I'm wild. Um, and then after brain injury, there's something that happens with your filter as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're just not interested in how other people feel as much.
Yes.
And I think that also comes with being 50. Like when I turn 50, maybe
And
something
when you get older,
you
Cheri,
just don't care.
there are things that come out your mouth, and
Yeah.
just like Urkel on a TV show, go, did I say that?
Yes, I
It's just
did.
like,
Yes,
okay,
I did. I just said that.
yes.
Yeah. So as I painted, I noticed that a lot of my intuition was graffiti, and it was hard,
Mm,
and it was words that were like in your face and scratches. And I mean, it was like very energetic and
hmm.
sometimes angry and some violent brush strokes happening. And then I would go back and quiet it all down. And
Right.
okay, I gotta no one's gonna buy that. No one wants to buy anger. They just want to buy pretty. And then I got a mentor, and she's like, stop it. You
Yes.
need to be you. And then you need to find out why that is trying to come out. Like, what is it?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
through a lot of work, I realized, oh my gosh, that's who I am. And since stepping into that, life is like in HD,
Yes.
3D. It's just so alive now because now I'm me. I don't have to put on those masks. I don't have to wear the right clothes. And I mean, look at my hair. I mean, it's just like, because
It's
that's who I
freedom.
am. It's freedom. It's so freeing. And that's what brings joy, is for us to step into ourselves and shed all the shoulds. I mean, the shoulds
Mm.
are just, I mean, to me, that's like a cuss word in my life. Like when I hear someone say, you
You
should, I'm
should.
like, oh, stop. Oh,
Boundaries.
yes, yes. And what is it with boundaries? Like it takes us so long to learn.
Oh, because it reached a point where you have to unlearn everything that you were taught.
Yes.
And it comes to a place where sometimes we're taught things to protect us,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
There are safeguards when we're a child. Don't talk to strangers,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
that's for your own safety. But what happens is there's a disconnect in terms of the why. Why
Yeah.
is that there? And does that serve me?
Mm-hmm.
We live in a different generation, obviously, than our parents do. And so the world has changed, but there's still people who are trying to constrict
Yes.
and see you a certain way. Like, for example, just being a woman, that's not going to work for me anymore.
Right.
Telling us what to do. So it is a process of evolving. And you are saying the message so loud and so clear that we used to believe that when we are younger, you become an adult and this is who you are for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
That is not a truth. That is
No,
no longer true. We
no,
evolve, we change,
absolutely.
we adapt.
Thank God.
Yes. And then as I was saying to you before we started, Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And your art, Cheri, now gives someone else permission
Mm,
to live
mm.
their lives out loud.
Wow. Thank
You
you for
give
saying that.
other people permission.
Mm.
You go be you. And that's not a cliche. You know how we say, you do you,
You do
boo.
you.
It, it's not the cliche. It is in reality, be who you are
Yeah.
because somebody else
Truly.
needs
Yeah.
to see that light.
Yes.
And you're healing, you're still in the healing business, Cheri,
Mm. Yes.
because you're healing in your art, in your visual art, is reaching a new audience in a different way, and somebody's going to get healed from that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the beauty of there's this line that goes through my life.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was being a healer in many ways throughout my life. And then I was the one needing healing. And
Mm-hmm.
that was very uncomfortable for me to be on the other side of the bed, so to say.
Right.
But even coming up off of that bed and starting to learn to live my life in this new way, healing comes again, where I can
Yes.
offer through my time in that bed.
Mm-hmm.
I just see everything so differently now. I see everything differently. I see that who we truly are playful. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
playful beings. And
Yes.
that is drilled out of us too early.
Yes, it is.
Too early. Like we want to move our bodies like children and play and be free and dress with loud colors. And, when we were little, we'd put the yellow boots on and the purple thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we think
Mm-hmm.
we were great. And then all of a sudden, there's rules.
Yes. And
And it's
step
like,
in the puddles on
yes,
purpose.
yes. Like I love doing that now. Like I love doing things that are unexpected because I honestly don't care what people think.
Mm-hmm.
It is shocking sometimes to see a 51-year-old woman doing something crazy, but I think they probably want to join in.
Yeah, it's just like I wish they could because silently there's this internal voice in their head and like, what is she doing? Ooh,
Yep.
that's so cool. Can I
Yep.
do that?
Yep. Like it's kind of a funny story. My husband and I went to Greece in the spring. And I don't know why, but on my bucket list, I've always wanted to just be nude on a beach. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why, but it sounds
Mm-hmm.
freeing to me. And I've never done it in my life, obviously, because that's just too much. But we were in Greece and that's legal there. And it was a quiet beach. And I just took off my clothes and sat on the beach. And my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "This just feels amazing. You're just in your skin. Like, I wish I could
Yes.
walk around like this."
Yes. Absolutely. It's amazing. And give your husband a treat and you can have a Boudo photo shoot.
Well, later that night, when we went back to the hotel, he's like, "Cheri, I have a regret." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I should have done it with you." He
Yes,
goes,
on the
I
beach.
said, "Well, there will be other opportunities." It's never too late.
Well, that means you have to keep going to the beach.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We just have to keep going.
You have to keep going to the on vacation and going to the beach, and the spirit just feel a warm sense of like welcome home, welcome back
Yes.
to yourself,
Yes.
welcome
Yes.
back to yourself. So then you wouldn't find it strange if I said to you your brain injuries in a way was A gift.
The
Because had
greatest
it
gift.
not been,
I call it the greatest gift I never wanted. It's the
hmm
greatest gift I never wanted because I tell my husband and I, we talk about those years, these years that we've gone through. And I said, I hope if I lived another life that it would happen
yeah,
again because it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
yes,
It is the best thing that because it introduced me to me. It's like I had to be stripped away of what I was confident in, things I was good at, the things
hmm
that made me who I was, my how I presented myself to the world. I had to be stripped away of all of it to see who I really was. And now this person is way
yes.
better.
Way better, way and more fun, probably.
More fun, more fun and more authentic because I don't
Yes.
try to present as put together and got it all figured out. I don't. I
Mm-hmm.
learn every day that this life is messy and there are
Mm-hmm.
curveballs and there are jacked up ladders at every turn, but we can negotiate it. We can navigate it.
We can negotiate and we can be authentic. In
Yes.
terms of your art, do you do your art for yourself or is it for sale? And how does it come? Because there are some people, like I'm a writer, I
Mhm.
write, and there are times when I feel so creative and it just downloads, it
Yep.
just flows. And there are other times I'm looking at the paper and I'm like, help me God. I have like 5 words on the paper. It's like
It's true.
so um, do you have to be in a certain mindset in a certain mood when you are creating art, or does
Yes.
your discipline flow and is it available to others?
Yeah. So for a couple of years, it was for me. It was my therapy, just therapy on canvas. I didn't care
Mm-hmm.
how it looked. I didn't care about composition. I didn't care about any of that. I was just doing it because I loved it and it felt good. But my friends and family were like, gosh, some of this is good.
Mm-hmm.
You should sell it. And my husband's like, Cheri, you do paint on large canvases and our house is only so big. Like it was starting to take over. And so
The
I
practical
thought
husband,
about
yes.
it and I was like, I don't know if people really want to buy this. But then, my dad was like, sure, you really should just do it. Just see what happens. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided, okay, before I start selling it, I need to get better. Technically, I want to take some art classes and learn about all the things, value and composition.
Perfectionist, do I hear
A little bit,
perfectionism in it?
just a little
Just a
bit.
little
And
bit.
so as I was in the process of learning, I come across this mentor and she's like, nope, now,
Now.
when it's raw, like you don't know what the hell you're doing. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
put it out there. And so I did, and people buy it. People
Yes.
buy it.
And you're like, they're buying my stuff.
And people want to show it and exhibit, and they give awards to
There they
it.
go. And you're like, what was I ever worried about?
I was
And
so
that's
terrified. The
it.
first time my website went live, I thought, what am I doing? I'm going to be so humiliated. But I have received nothing but love and encouragement and awe. People like, Cheri, I never knew you painted. I said, because I never did.
I didn't know either.
So, the knock to the head. And then it's like, oh, I'm a painter.
Yes.
So, yes,
You
I do
get to call
sell it.
yourself something different now, and you're calling yourself something different based on you and what you want to call yourself.
Yes. And now
Yeah.
there's opportunities for retreats. They're asking me to come to retreats and teach creativity as a healing modality. And that's just
Yes.
my whole heart. I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't know
Yes.
that was a thing, but that's my whole heart is like, that's the nurse part coming and caring for people and teaching them that you can heal every part of your being with creativity. And it doesn't have to look a
Yes, you
certain
can.
way. It's
And let me
so,
tell you, for someone who's steeped in education and well over 25 years now, I'm what you call an arts integration master teacher.
Mm,
And so, I teach reading English language arts, but let's not just open the book.
that's right.
Let's bring in visual art. Let's bring in music. Let's put the
Yeah.
diary of Anne Frank in
Oh,
our bodies by doing drama. You
oh,
know,
I have
what does
goosebumps, Anne
media art?
Marie.
Yes. How about
So good.
music? Let's match Shakespeare with Black Eyed Peas and
Yes.
and some
Yeah.
hip
I want
hop,
to come to your class.
you know? And that is the secret sauce. It
Yeah.
is to raise one's level of creativity because as a person who's learning so much about energy in this
Mm,
season of my life,
mm,
we raise the vibration
yes.
and you raise the vibration where there's joy
Yes.
and there's expression and it's the body, mind, and spirit
Yes.
speaking.
That's right.
And that is where it comes from. And it's
And
sourced
that's
from
what flow
love.
is,
That's
that's
what's
what
flow.
flow is. I didn't
Yes.
know what that felt like until
Hmm.
I started doing this. And you asked earlier if I'm just always ready to paint or if it,
Hmm.
has to be a certain mood. I learned quickly that if I just make myself available and in the right
Right.
mindset to be a faucet for the water to flow, that it will come. And so I do. I light Palo Santo. I play music. I take about 10
Hmm.
minutes to just arrive and calm down. And then I just respond. I ask the canvas, what do you want? I go to my colors. What color today? Like I don't have a plan. I just respond to what speaks to me in that moment. And I start grabbing colors
Yes.
that are speaking to me. And I learn how to mix colors and I just go for it. And one day the painting might start off as cheerful and
Hmm.
bright. And the
Hmm.
next day it turns dark and moody. And then the
Hmm.
next day it just is a push and pull, but it's not me. Like people sometimes get annoyed when they're like, well, it is you. And I'm like, yes, I
No,
am doing it, but it's not me.
it's spirit.
Yes,
You're a vessel.
the divine just uses me.
Yes.
And that's why I don't have to be afraid of. I used to be afraid, like approach the canvas and be like, it's not going to ever happen again. I'm never going to do a painting again. That will only happen if I don't make myself available.
Hmm.
And that's my choice. I don't have to, but I want to because now I'm addicted to flow. Like
Yeah,
I
because the
love
other
it.
thing is what stops flow is when we're tense and we're tight.
Yes.
And it actually, at least in my case, it is a situation where perfectionist. It's
Yeah.
like anytime that I'm doing a workshop or doing something and I'm worried about it being perfect and oh, this has to go this way,
Yep.
and my whole body is tight. And
And then it
mm, that,
stops.
and then it's stuck. It stops. And it's interesting because when you're working with people, people who are hiring you to do the business, and you're like saying, "No worries, it will happen." Because I'm in flow and I know how flow comes. They don't know how flow comes.
Yes.
I said, it will work out. It
Yes.
always does.
Always.
And they're
Always.
looking at me like,
What's
sometimes you can't explain. I just say, it's spirit. It
it?
just comes. And the more that you pressure somebody, the more
Yes.
you tell them to restrict and put it in
Oh,
words and put it in a box, that's how flow sticks and it gets stuck. And at some point, it speaks to a level of trust.
yes.
I
That's right.
need for you to trust me
That's
that
right.
it will flow and it
Gosh,
will
we
work
were we
out.
were just talking about boxes in our lives, how we had to fit into these
Yes,
that's the same with creativity. We put ourselves in these expectation boxes or it has to be perfect. So
correct.
flow is on every level of life, not just in creativity, but in our life on the big stage. This is what flow is for me. Like I'm feeling because
Yes,
I've gotten rid of the boxes, God is able to flow through
correct.
who I am,
Correct.
who He made me.
And
amazing.
you used a metaphor earlier. You said like a faucet,
Yes.
and when you put the boxes in, I'm crossing metaphors here. I shouldn't, but I am.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's that when you put the boxes around you, it's like you trying to turn on the water and the water wouldn't come because the water
Right.
is trapped.
Yes.
But when you remove the barriers, you call the plumber, you
Oh,
unstick this, the water just flows and
flows.
it comes out. And that's how life is.
And it's no
And
effort. It's effortless.
mhm,
When you're in flow, it's effortless because you're just dancing with the divine.
I
You're just
love that.
dancing with the divine. Oh, I love
Dancing. I love that. I love that.
that.
So share your website with us. Let us
It's
know how to get in contact with you because I,
yes.
for one, love your art.
Oh,
it's the
thank
first thing
you.
that I noticed behind you,
Yeah.
as you logged on and shared, and I'm like, I'm looking and I'm going, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so many places I could stare at that ladder for and have so
Isn't
many
that
different
crazy?
interpretations. Like, is the ladder going anywhere? And
Yeah.
isn't that like life? Because sometimes you go down a path and it doesn't go anywhere. And what do? Do you jump off? But
Yep.
then you're too high at a
Yep.
certain point, and if you jump off, you might hurt. But
That's
do you
right.
climb? Do you fly? Do you
Yeah.
transform and fly? Because look,
Well, what if you
sit with that picture
fly?
for a minute. I can sit with that picture for a minute and showing up in my red.
For me, that red was look at me now. That's what that
Look
red
at
was.
me
It's
now.
like, I'm here. Look at me. I'm going to graffiti. I don't care what anyone thinks.
Yes, yes. So
So funny. My
how do we get in touch
website
with you?
is
Yes.
carandanisfineart.com. And I am very active on Instagram and Facebook. Same handle, Carandanis Fine Art. So yeah, find me there. And I have several.
Yes.
Podcasting is kind of new, like the last few months. I think I've been on over 15 podcasts. They're all
Mhm.
being released now. But this is so fun, a fun way. I didn't know about
Yes.
me being on podcasts. I did, but it's such a fun way to get my story out because I really do
Absolutely.
believe people don't buy art, they buy the artist. And so if you don't know the artist, you're not going to really connect with the art as much. You can connect to art. But when you know the artist, it's like
But
so content.
what's fun about podcasting is because, Cherie, we heard your story.
Yes.
And there are so many message points that you've given in
Mm-hmm.
these last 30, 40 minutes when you're talking about being stuck and pivoting and the grief that you held for your dad and losing your identity. I don't think even you know how much you shared, how much you
I don't.
downloaded, because we have laughed and we have joked, but you have articulated what it is that everybody goes through.
Yes.
And for the listening audience or the viewing audience, the idea is if visual art is not your jam, there's dance, there's
Ugh.
music, there's all kinds of
I
different
think this is an art
creative
conversation is creative.
conversation. Yes. And then we get into the story. And there was a moment when we were talking and it clicked. This is how flow works because I'm getting to know you. Viewing audience is getting to know you. And then you said something. You said that your voice was silenced.
Mm,
That's the story.
yeah.
That's the story. And that is why we go and buy your art
Mm,
because we're now making a connection to
yes.
an artist who understands what it means when your voice is silenced and when you find it again.
Mm.
And that's powerful. That is your power. And you are still a healer.
Yeah,
you,
Marie, you've
you are
blessed
still a
me.
healer.
You have blessed me. Thank you. Your words are like
Amen.
salve. They're like salve to my soul.
That's him. That's the divine.
I receive it. I'll take it.
That's the divine. It has been my joy, my pleasure to talk with you.
Me too.
So, this is Anne Marie, host for About This Life, speaking with Cheri, Carandanis, where we're changing our lives one day at a time. Amen.